Welcome to Nightshift. This video is for new players and is designed so that you can learn while playing. We'll start with the basics, and by your fourth turn, we'll have covered everything that you need to know. Refer to the timestamps to skip to specific parts of the game. Club overview and setup. You play as a dancer. To win, you must earn the most money over the night. Each player must select a dancer. There are 5 dancers, and each has a unique ability that applies for the entire game. Pause the video until each player has selected a dancer. Each player collects their commitment token, 1 shot, 1 champagne, and 1 power card. The commitment token is double-sided, and the power card is private to you. Pause the video to collect these items. We will explain how drinks work on round 2, but you should know that there's a drink limit. Each player can only hold a maximum of 3 drinks at any time. Let's set up the board. Ensure that all decks are shuffled, then 12 customers are dealt face down on the main floor. Leave space for each deck to have its own discard pile. Pause the video until you have everything as shown. The timer is double-sided and used to select the game length. We recommend choosing the short shift when you're learning. Place your chosen side face up and then set the hand to round 1. Pause the video and decide who will go first. You will then take turns in clockwise order. Round 1. Energy and commitments. Dancers don't use a dice to move, they use energy points. Energy points allow you to move around the club, and you can go in either direction. By default, players can spend up to 4 energy points per turn, and each energy point can be used to either move 1 space or reveal a customer. Here, Sapphire uses 1, then 2, and 3 to flip. You can choose to end your turn without using all of your energy. It will reset back to 4 each turn. Because Sapphire is now standing with a face-up customer, she is able to charm them by rolling the numbered die. Only moving and flipping require energy, and any roll of the numbered die will always trigger the end of your turn. Here, Ruby uses 1 to move, 2 to flip, and could roll on this customer, which would end her turn. She chooses to use 3 to move, 4 to flip, and has now used all her energy. She could choose to roll on this customer or end her turn. Moving 1 space will always cost 1 energy point, even if the space is empty. Note that players cannot use energy to go on stage. Once you find a customer you like, you can charm them by rolling the numbered die. After rolling, you get to select from their outcomes. You can choose any outcome that is less than or equal to your roll. Ideally, we want to enter the private room, or even better, the VIP room, because this is how you'll make most of your money. Here, Emerald rolls a 6, which is not high enough to commit Rick to the VIP room. But it is enough to commit him to the private room, or receive $500. Emerald chooses to commit him to the private room. Commitments are the only way that a player can enter the rooms with a customer. Once a commitment has been made, the turn ends by placing the commitment token on the customer with the correct side face up. The commitment will play out on the dancer's next turn if the customer remains committed. Note that you cannot choose to abandon your committed customer. Once a customer is committed, other dancers are not able to roll on the outcomes at the bottom of the card. They can only attempt to steal the committed outcome, which we'll cover next round. In summary, spend up to 4 energy in search of a good customer, and choose to either roll for their outcomes or simply end your turn. Pause the video while all players take their first turn. Round 2. Customer Loyalty and Wealth. You should now move the timer to round 2. Topaz, Ruby, and Amethyst are rostered on stage next round, so they'll need to plan ahead and manage their time strategically. For players going on stage next round, it's best to avoid committing a customer on this round because they'll either have to abandon them to go on stage or pay the club a fine. We'll explain the stage and other round types later on. If you start your turn with a committed customer, watch the private room or VIP room section. These are both one-turn minigames that start from inside the room. When a customer leaves their space, it will remain empty until new customers enter the club, which will happen later. You can steal a commitment from another dancer before it gets to their turn. To successfully steal a customer, you must roll greater than or equal to the customer's loyalty. As with any roll of the numbered die, this will immediately end the player's turn. Now might be a good time to mention shots. Shots can be used in two ways. They can either give you +1 energy or add +1 after your roll. How you use the shot is up to you. Here, we see Topaz is out of energy, but still one space away from Amethyst's customer. She uses a shot to gain +1 energy, and then uses this to move one space. Now, she rolls to steal. This customer's loyalty is a 5, meaning that Topaz must roll a 5 or higher to steal them. Topaz rolls a 4 and uses another shot to add +1 to her roll, making it a 5 so the steal is successful. Once a customer has been successfully stolen, they cannot be stolen again. So, which customers pay well? The key is their wealth. A customer's wealth is shown by the star rating at the top right of the card. All customers are 1, 2, or 3 stars. A higher star rating will result in a greater payoff once in the VIP room or private room. For example, having a 3-star customer fall in love is worth 10K, but a 1-star is only worth 6K. Some customers have a preference for one dancer, which is shown with an icon and colored stars. In this example, Thaddeus is a 3-star customer for Sapphire, but a 2-star customer for all other players. Let's recap. Shots each add +1 energy or add +1 after your roll. You can steal committed customers by rolling their loyalty or higher, and in the rooms, customers with more stars pay you more money. Pause the video while all players take their second turn. Round 3. The stage, power cards, and the bar. Advance the timer to round 3. This is a stage round for Topaz, Ruby, and Amethyst. All stage actions are performed at the start of the round before any player turns begin. Ruby has a committed customer, and if she chooses to go on stage, they will be immediately discarded and leave the club. She could pay a $1,000 fine to skip her stage and stay with her customer, but decides to go on. Topaz also has a committed customer and does not want to abandon them to go on stage. She chooses to pay the $1,000 fine to skip her stage and stay with her customer. Each player that goes on stage receives 2 power cards, and then a $500 tip from each tipping customer. In this example, they each receive $1,500. Customers must be face down with a banknote on the table to tip the dancers on stage. If they are flipped face up, they become distracted and will no longer tip. Note that Amethyst's special ability is to receive an extra power card when on stage. Pause the video to resolve all stage actions before players take their turns. Now that all the stage actions have been resolved, players will have their individual turns. Players that were on stage still have their turn as usual, but must spend 1 energy to step off the stage using the left or right stairs. All dancers received a power card at the start of their night, but the most reliable place to earn more is by performing on stage. Each power card is unique. They provide an immediate effect when used and are then discarded. There's no limit to how many power cards you can play at a time. Each power card will clearly state exactly when it can be played. Pay attention to this because sometimes the window will be short. Remember, if you're running low on drinks, you can buy more at the bar. Refer to your reference card for prices. It does not cost energy to buy drinks, and these can only be bought or used on your turn. You can buy as many drinks from the bar as you want, but can only hold a maximum of 3. If you buy or receive more drinks but are already holding 3, you'll have to pick which to keep. Pause the video while all players take their third turn. Round 4. Refreshing the board. Advance the timer to round 4. This is a refresh round as marked by the star icon. We can see that Emerald and Sapphire are rostered on stage next round, so they may want to avoid committing a customer this turn. On a refresh round, any customers that are face up without a commitment token will leave the club, and the new customers will fill the empty spaces going clockwise from the space above the locker room. Pause the video while all players take their fourth turn. The private room. You can only visit a room if you committed the customer on your previous turn. Amethyst will start her turn from the private room. Amethyst draws private room cards one at a time and flips them face up. Each card drawn shows the dance moves performed and their potential payoff. There are 5 possible moves, and it's possible for a card to have 2 of the same move. Donna and Daryl are a 3-star customer for Amethyst, so we only add the 3-star payoffs. Amethyst could leave now with 1K or choose to draw again. Dancers can draw as many cards as they want and can leave before any new draw. Avoid being too repetitive. If a dancer performs 3 of the same move across all cards drawn, the customer will lose interest. This means that you bust and receive $500 regardless of the cards drawn or their star rating. Amethyst draws again and can leave with 2K. She now has 2 of the same move but chooses to draw again. This draw causes Amethyst to bust, as she has 3 of the same move, which means that the customer will only pay her the $500 minimum and gets discarded. Amethyst uses her Champagne to try and avoid busting. Champagne allows you to cancel the last draw and redo it. When you use Champagne, you must draw another card. Amethyst avoids busting and can leave with 3K but chooses to draw a 4th card. She did not bust and could draw again but chooses to leave with 4K. Because Amethyst left the room without breaking the illusion and busting, she gets to collect Donna and Daryl, which means adding this customer to her hand. Next turn, it will cost her 1 energy to step back onto the main floor. The VIP room. Remember, you can only visit a room if you committed the customer on your previous turn. Here we start by placing Sapphire and Michael in the VIP room. The VIP room is about showing customers that you are the complete package, which means fulfilling all 5 traits. Overplaying any trait will break the illusion and cause them to leave. Sapphire's core trait is intellect, so we place her token in the first slot. The potential payoff for each level of commitment is marked on the board. Because Michael is a 2-star customer, we only need to look at the middle row. To strengthen the connection, we roll the VIP dice. Sapphire has rolled Fantasy, so Michael is now interested, and she can choose to leave with 2.5K. She chooses to roll again and gets Compassion, which moves her to the next tier. Each roll in the VIP room has 3 possible outcomes. If the dancer rolls their own trait, which is Intellect for Sapphire, they bust, so they leave with 1K and the customer is discarded. If the dancer rolls a previously earned trait, Fantasy or Compassion in this example, they leave at the current level of commitment, which would be 4K. Finally, if the dancer rolls a new trait, they progress to the next level of connection and can choose whether to keep going. Here, Sapphire unfortunately rolls her own trait, causing her to bust. However, she will use her Champagne token. Champagne allows you to cancel the last roll and redo it. When you use Champagne, you must roll again. Sapphire rolls a previously earned trait, Fantasy, and could play another Champagne to redo this roll, but she chooses to leave at the current level of connection and receives 4K. Rolling a previously earned trait will never cause you to have a weaker connection. You will always leave at the current level. Because Sapphire left the room without breaking the illusion and busting, she gets to collect Michael, which means adding this customer to her hand. Next turn, it will cost her 1 energy to step back onto the main floor. Other rounds and ending the game. The moon icon represents an event round. At the start of this round, a unique event card is drawn, which will affect all players for that round. All instructions necessary for an event round are provided on the event card, but note that many of these also include a refresh of the board. Lights On is like the refresh we covered on round 4, but with a special twist. After the board is refreshed, the club turns the lights on to let people know it's closing soon. This means that all customers on the main floor are flipped face up. On the final round of the game, dancers are still able to commit a customer. Any customer that remains committed at the end of the final round will go into the private room or VIP room for an additional unresolved outcomes turn. Over the night, you may have collected customers into your hand. These customers had a great experience with you and have become your online subscribers. So, how loyal is your fan base? Add up the loyalty from all of your collected customers and refer to your reference card to see how much subscriber income you will receive. If a customer has a preference for you, that customer's loyalty is worth double. Here, Sapphire has total loyalty of 23. This creates an end-of-game bonus payment of 3.5K. We hope you enjoyed the game. Refer to the back of the rulebook for FAQ and other game modes.